Hello and welcome to the Overton Audios podcast. My name's Connor Chadwick.
I'm Daniel Patton.
And on today's podcast, I'll be talking with Dave Edwards about the Time Traveller continuation, and I'll be talking to James Sutton about the new Torchwood Rebirth special.
And Connor will later be talking with Chelsea and Luke on Volume 2 of The Crimson Hunter, with special surprise guest Aidan O'Connor.
Yeah, and we'll be talking in a little bit of that, a bit about Dimension of the Daleks.
Oh yeah, very nice.
So how have you been, Dan? Busy? There we go. All that needs saying.
Yep. I'm currently just neck high with commissions, actual work, as you know, and also I'm in the preparations of trying to move currently, but it's hard to move when there's a housing crisis in the area you're moving into.
Oh yes. That's not something that's been mentioned, but you were actually supposed to move, what was it, 2.5 weeks ago?
Yeah, I was supposed to move in the middle of September, but now it's moved to the 1st of October, which is from the time recording it the Friday that's coming this week. But that's in 5 days time, and I don't. Yeah, like it was like, oh, okay, you are moving on the first. Like, a bit late, aren't you? We got to get everything packed.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is this is the problem. Like, again, people probably know, the listeners probably know this. I'll say it again though for clarity. With my background at work being construction, I know how awful the situation can be and how last minute the whole thing can be, and it is awful. Just saying, because you're going into the reason why it's not finished is because it's a new building. It's actually, isn't it an older building, but it's been renovated to suit student living?
Yes.
Yeah. So as a result, what you showed me, you went down about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And they were still had, the sockets were still holes in the wall with wire sticking out. Same with the lights. Those are usually very simple to fix, but the biggest problem was that, like you were saying, no one was there working, and it was a weekday.
Yeah, it was a Monday, and it was like I think 3:00. So I'm like, it's 3:00. It's not. They shouldn't be on lunch break, and nobody's here working on a Monday. I'm like,
it doesn't give you much faith, and as well as that, you've been emailing them, and they've not been responding properly or at all. They're just telling you not to worry about it. It's not your concern, but it is your concern. You're moving. And as a result, even just like in the case of finding time to get this podcast done, it's just been sometimes a bit tough.
It has, yeah. It really has.
And of course, with everything like that, they're not going to tell you till last minute. They're just going to go, oh, yeah, it is ready now. And then you'll go in and find issues. Guarantee it. Nothing that stops you living in there. Because they can't legally give you a room but they wanted you to live in there without electricity, didn't they?
They said it's ready to move into, but there's no electricity. So I'm like, yeah, you just listen to it. It's ready to move into.
Yeah. So, how were you able to use anything? You can't.
I mean, I do admin, and I kind of feel like I need electricity to do my job.
But precisely. So, I mean, that's already something that's very naughty on their behalf. But I'm really hopeful that when that is able to get resolved in some shape or form. Then with myself, I've just been, to put it very briefly, my dad's just sort of he's lost his sight in one eye.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, so as a result, I've been picking up his workload, and last night was the best night's sleep I've had in about a week and a half. I slept from 1 a.m. till 9, and I've been recently trying to stick to waking up at 7, so my day already feels lost. Like when you wake up later in the day, you seem to lose so much more of the day suddenly, whereas when you wake up an hour earlier, somehow the day goes by really slowly for you. I don't understand really. It always feels very annoying when that happens.
Yeah.
And it's been doing that for me today. It's already we're recording this at 4:30, and I'm like, what the hell? The day hasn't even started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been a hard week for everyone, hasn't
it? It has. But yeah, so has any more happened on Dimension of the Daleks?
Mate, I've We finished filming all the locations. It's about to everyone who's asked, like, "Oh, you finished filming it? Is it ready to come?" I was like, "No, we haven't finished filming it. We still need to go up to Birmingham and film the TARDIS scenes. The crucial TARDIS scenes that currently we cannot get to Birmingham because, for one, we used all our money for a deposit recently.
Well, yeah, of course.
Money isn't great at the moment, so we don't have enough money to go up there, and also like we just don't have the time because we're moving. So
moving, obviously, you're moving because Anya has started a master's course.
Oh yeah,
so she's also busy with that.
Oh yeah, God, yeah. I mean, like, she'll only be available.
I mean that's also what's frustrating with the whole moving thing, is that the course doesn't get delayed. So
yeah, exactly.
You've moved there to be closer to the course, and poor old Anya's still having to travel back and forth.
She's been taking the train all the time, yeah. Man. Which she's doing well. She's doing very well. But
yeah, I would. Yeah, of course she is. But like, it's not fun, and you don't really get any time to relax until you're home, and that's until later. But then you've got to revise or anything like that, so it can't stay like that for long. I don't think. As well as that, I barely touched the edits. I've been so busy. Like all the stuff you saw in the trailer, all the VFX, all the sound design, that's only temp. That's all VFX I did just for that trailer. Yeah. And even the lines that Luke did, which he did brilliantly, he only recorded those lines, which I haven't even sent him or John the script. I know you haven't. It's like, it's a case of that. Those are lines just for the trailer. You just wanted, I think, and that isn't the problem. You just wanted to show something, didn't you? Because it's been a sort of, I don't want to trivialize it and call it torturous, but you've just wanted to make something, and you finally shot something, and you wanted to show something for it. Yeah. I was just like, I know everyone was excited because I've been getting demands for a trailer ever since I said, "Oh, we've done this amount of shooting." It's like, "Oh, let me see if I have enough material for a trailer." And then everyone says, "Okay, release the trailer." It's like, "Yeah, release the trailer." And then I thought, "Okay, I'll get a teaser together." And I went on the Discord and I teased the teaser. Brilliant. And everyone's like, "Please, just release it." But man, I am currently working to try and do some of the edit, but it's just not enough hours in the day, No, I think, to be honest, once you've moved and everything settles down a little bit, it will all be fine. Yeah. It will all, like, suddenly the world will open up, and you suddenly like, I am the master of time. Yeah, I have done test edits, which I've shown you, and you've seen those scenes. Oh yeah. Those scenes that we can't discuss. No, I already mentioned it in the upcoming segment, how it brought a tear to my eye. Oh, it's so good. It's so good, and the technique that I think yourself, Anya, and Aidan have employed on this film reminds me of the process from the first Suicide Squad film in 2016, about what he did with the method acting, by making them all get to know each other really, really well, so they cared for one another, so that when the scenes happened, there was that connection already. Yeah, because we slightly worked backwards in terms of like how, because spoiler alert, you haven't seen the trailer, which I think most people have seen the trailer by this stage. Either way, if you choose not to spoil it, we talk about it in the segment later. Okay, we talk about it. I have cleared up the Discord confusion in the later segment. So Aidan plays Anya's brother in another dimension. Yeah, Maggie's brother. Yeah. Plays Maggie's brother from another dimension, because obviously Maggie's brother from the main dimension has died in a Dalek attack, but in this dimension he obviously is alive and well. But the thing is, though, we only had Aidan for a couple of days. And this is the first time me and Anya have met Aidan. So we decided to work backwards from, because when they first meet each other, they're distant, they don't properly know each other. So we worked backwards up to the scenes that they get to know each other better and better. And by the time we get to the end, they've
because Aiden and Anya got on like a house on fire. They really did. Like, there's outtakes I can't wait to show. Like, there's a time when they did it. They just like hugged her, like brother, sister, and it's genuinely like they are actually siblings. It's so good, and they developed that throughout the filming, and it definitely shows as we progressed, or how we work backwards. And although it was a bit tedious to try and keep up with continuity while working backwards, it was definitely worth it for the results of how the actual relationship grew.
Yeah, 100%, and that's something you can't make up or anything like that when you have that genuine connection, and you can see it in the acting as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's there's a lot to dimension. It's by far the longest episode ever made. It's already surpassed we haven't even finished filming. It's already surpassed any episode's length we've already done.
Wow.
So I'm like, get popcorn ready, people. You're in for a ride.
Yes. As we're talking about a time travel show, shall we go and start talking about time travel with Dave?
Indeed, yes.
And here's that segment.
Come on, stay with me. We still have so much work to do. You and me. Come on, Aaron.
It's over. What do we do now?
Overton Audios presents.
We're having to use daylight to see in this room. There is no electricity. Everything digital is wiped out.
We were informed that the grid operating system was going to wipe out half the human race. We thought we'd stopped it 3 days ago.
So, the world's gone to hell then?
It's just us now. We need to rely on one another.
Hey, Jason.
Elizabeth, Harriet, you're alive.
Do you have any idea what you've done?
You've killed him.
A pleasure to see you alive and well, Miss Jackson.
What the hell is he doing here?
Oh, I'm a time traveller. Did Jason not mention?
You're going to kill him.
Yeah, and he just tried to kill one of us.
As Prime Minister, I deem it necessary, General. I thought you said this was under control.
You shot me.
Be glad it's only your shoulder.
They terrorise everyone. We can put a stop to that if we show them that the streets aren't theirs anymore.
Rebuild. There will always be oppositions in this life. We're beyond Thorncorp and Quinton Technologies. There's no need to fight anymore.
Time Traveller, Cataclysm, Volume 1. Coming the 6th of November 2021 at 12 p.m. Welcome back, everyone, to this segment of the podcast, and we're more or less going to be talking about sort of Time Traveller as a whole, aren't we? Like the continuation.
Yes, we are, yeah.
Yeah, obviously Earthcorp 2 has been out now for about, well, at the time of this release, of the release of this podcast, it'll have been out for just under a month, and will be literally a month today from this podcast to when the first episode of Cataclysm comes out.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's coming around quite quickly, actually.
Yeah, like Earthcorp 2, I think we did that specifically though. Earthcorp 2 and Cataclysm 1 are put together closely because they both tie into the continuation of the story. Whereas the other ones we were making, they have visual series cues that they can take. So as a result, it's easy to sort of be able to jump back on board with those things. Whereas the continuation now, you're relying on these volumes. So having these close together, including the fact that for those of you who have listened to Earthcorp 2, and if you haven't, spoilers, Earthcorp 2 is basically just a co-running timeline where the villains won. Well, basically the whole story, time travelers came back in time to stop evil people, and they did it, but then in doing so, they fractured it into two versions: the version where they never went back, and a version where they did, and they live in the version where they did. But there are troubles that happen on their the other code timeline, which has been nicknamed Earth Corp because the villains were called Thorn Corp, and obviously this is an alternate Earth. So that's kind of it was a funny nickname we came up with, like when we were making the actual visual series, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was back during Retribution. It was a line, I think. It was just so sudden. It was Earth Corp.
Yeah, it was the case. I remember the scene. It was Jason, who's played by Daniel J. Patton, who initially played the news reporter David Newman, and was just a voice role. We brought him on to have an actual physical role as the doppelganger from that timeline called Jason, and he was saying, "Yeah, but what about my Earth?" And then Aaron comes in and goes, "Can we just make up a name for this Earth? Because I'm getting confused." And then Noah Crimson just turns around and says, "How about Earth Corp?" And then Aaron goes, "Done." And that's literally it. And Jason's just like, "Look, all right, can you stop? Like, we're trying to have a serious conversation." And it was just, that's literally just a throwaway line. And it had been talked about doing the first Earth Corp volume for quite a few years, actually. That was something that was mainly Dan's sort of thing he wanted to do. He wanted to shoot it initially as an origin story for Jason. But we were thinking about at the time doing a fourth visual series, but as the visual series ended in a way that would be almost impossible to make visually.
The ending of Retribution was, I think it was my steering of it, and sort of, most stories end with a happy ending, with the situation resolved, and that's what you're taught in film school and writing school, to sort of end it like that using this convention. But I wanted to break that convention, and have, well, at first they think they win, but then actually no, they don't. They don't win, and then it's a cliffhanger. And then we were planning a fourth visual series at the time, but when it was going to jump
between Earth Corp and the Prime Earth, and Dan was going to be like the second unit director, making all the stuff in Ireland, with like Jason going back to Earth Corp and meeting other characters, and then we were going to shoot the stuff that was on Prime Earth with, like, the aftermath of everything dying and falling apart. But we never ended up making it because we realised when we were coming up with the story, it would just be too much of a huge task to undertake. So then it was shelved, and then we thought about doing mini episodes called Memories, which we did actually write a couple of scripts for, and those were monologues with visual cues, and then they never got made because we kind of felt like it didn't really, we wanted it to be a big follow-up, but then we didn't have the cash to do a big follow-up, but then anything else seemed too small in comparison, so they just kind of hit a bit of a wall with that. And then obviously the audios have come along, and the whole idea was that, we did all the anthologies first leading up to this, and then now here we are.
Here we are with the announcement, which should have been pre-made before this podcast, definitely should be, of Time Traveler Cataclysm, which is the official story continuation of Time Traveler from Retribution, but in audio form, because
it's technically
cheaper to make. It's
cheaper
to
much
make.
Cheaper. Well, it is, and I think we've also done something good, which was we've been able to also develop the whole story of when we're doing the visual series much more as well.
The continuation is really very different to the original ideas of what we had for season 4. And to be honest, having this time, I think it was 2017 Retribution came out, so we got 4 years?
Yeah, but we wrapped in 2016.
Oh yeah. Well, it's been that long.
2016. It's been 5 years.
So this continuation story has been brewing for a long time, but it only really came into serious consideration early last year when we started actual story development.
I was always holding on to the idea of it being a continuation, but at the same time, rather than jumping straight into the continuation, we sort of discussed it and said, let's do anthologies set in each year leading up to the Cataclysm program. Obviously it starts in 2014, And then it was going to be 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, those 4. And then we ended up making the little special volumes here and there, like, the final act. There was, and obviously Earth Corp then came in thinking, well, we can lead that into building up the pre-existing characters. And then obviously the whole thing would still end with 2017, which it still did. But we were also, we sort of realised that we've adapted so much on the anthology that there's actually a lot also of unanswered questions that we really want to develop, but also storylines we want to develop on as well of those characters. And it was just a case of thinking, wow.
I mean, with Earth Corp 2, that is officially a part of the continuation as well. Because at the end of Retribution, Noah went through the fracture in time and space-time to go into Earth Corp 2. Well, into Earth Corp, and then you've heard, and you've if you haven't listened to the finale of Earth Corp 2, you now know what happens, and you have to find out in Time Traveler Cataclysm. Not telling you when it's going to pick up, but it will get picked up. The ending of Earth Corp 2.
Oh, I was literally about to tell them. No, just so they're not giving up hope or anything. But yeah, so it will definitely, the ending of Earth Corp 2 will get picked up, but obviously be fully aware as well that at the end of the visual series, Noah Crimson left to go to Earth Corp, and they're there for a few months, and within a few hours of Noah having left in the end of Series 3, the Cataclysm began. So be aware that, we do pick up Cataclysm 1 almost, I think it is pretty much immediately, if not just seconds before the ending. I think we do. Like we've got...
yes.
It does open. I know it opens with things going wrong anyway. Yeah. And it's also quite interesting because obviously we know that from Time Traveler 2017 that whilst in the visual series the Cataclysm lasted about 2 to 3 minutes, we know that from really developing on it more that was just a montage really of things happening around everywhere and developing, whereas it actually took an hour to happen.
Yeah. The actual visual representation of Cataclysm in Retribution was really, really sped up, which is something we developed later down the line because we kind of worked out that really couldn't happen in real time in any possible way.
No, it was a case of going, wow, look at the power of this of this character, and then you're like, oh, well, couldn't really happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really pleased with the opening of Cataclysm because we introduced an element, a political drama element, which I really wanted to introduce into Time Traveler, which isn't. I mean, we've had dictatorships with Thorn and in Axel, but this is proper political stuff now, which
that's something that we really want to jump into. Yeah, it was the next thing to jump to because we've had in the series 1 to 3, we've had these companies that have had government support, like Dataline, Thorncorp, and Quinton Technologies, and then you find that there's something wrong going on. But the government are still there at the end of it who allowed it to happen. Whereas in this new story, the next logical step was there's no longer any companies dealing with this. It's a government. It's a government response now.
Yeah.
And then we planned all that, and then COVID happened.
Yeah, COVID happened. COVID happening was actually quite good to give us an indication of what a government will do in a crisis, which actually helped the writing and development of Cataclysm.
Oh yeah, that's something that I was sort of trying to think positively about. Like, whilst all this stuff is happening, it's a great case study into how people are managed as well. I mean, obviously our one is actually the lockdowns happened in real life to prevent the loss of life, but in Time Traveler, the loss of life has already happened.
Yeah.
Like it happens over the course of an hour, half the human race. And it's about the fallout of that, dealing with the people, who obviously want action taken.
Yeah.
But the government are also in pieces.
Yeah, because the thing about Cataclysm as well is we had to pick and choose which stories to follow because there was a lot of consequences from the Cataclysm program. We made a massive list of who could have been affected, who could have died from these consequences, and it's quite a lot. And we had to pick and choose which ones to focus on because there were so many to think of. In terms of actual storytelling, we can't tell all of them. We can't.
Well, we had to write the list before we finished writing 2017 because 2017 was our last chance of the anthologies to close that chapter. So that's why you see a lot of things like you see at the end of 2017, you see the loss of Jesse Clark. You see the loss of Eleanor Simmons. You see, obviously, what happened to Noah Crimson to get him in position for retribution. You see, obviously, also what happened to Aaron and also Andrew and Elizabeth. You see, we all had to get them in certain positions to be in a certain mindset for the Cataclysm. And I think we had a list, and we kept swapping names over, going, but what if we did this storyline? Okay, they're alive now, and all this sort of stuff. We just went back and forth until we had to settle down and go, look, it's been 3 weeks. We need to settle down because obviously we've had this idea of like with the ending. I mean, I can actually say this because it's happened already in both 2017 and EarthCorp 2. At the end of EarthCorp 2, one of the characters from EarthCorp escapes before Noah does. And we were toying with ideas of one of those characters died in 2017, and I remember I was toying with this idea for quite a while of having both characters who play the same character meet. But I think in the end it was the right decision not to do that because it would have just visuals you can play that off very well. Audio, it's the same voice.
Yeah. Doing that idea was it just came down to the fact that in visuals it would have been obvious that there's two of them, and in audios it's actually quite difficult to pull off.
It would have been fun to try and see, and also show the differences between those two characters face to face, where they can go, "Who are you? I don't know who you are." It goes, "Oh, I'm you. No, you're not. You're nothing like me." Just seeing those dynamics would have been very interesting. Yeah. But then you're trying to keep track of who's bloody talking. And neither, and they both sound the same. There's not like there's a slight different inflection, or one of them's got a slightly deeper voice or a slightly higher voice, but mannerisms would come into it. But again, that's a visual element.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Cataclysm, we kind of do a nice sort of grounded, soft reset. Like mobile phones are gone. You don't have the power of the internet. Certain areas are no longer accessible. The government have taken control to keep the peace. There are criminals out there as well who are being unchecked. It goes very grounded. Obviously, we still have and it should be also made clear that we do have a time travel element in there. There are still characters where not like. Hopefully, you understand what I mean as well, Dave. But obviously. We've got Jason in there, and he may be from another universe, but he's settled. But we do still have we still do have an element of a time travel element that's in there still. That there is still a time traveler.
Yes, there's still a time traveler, but probably not the one you're expecting if you've listened to EarthCorp 2, or maybe you don't know. You have to listen to Cataclysm.
I mean, that's the thing, obviously, in EarthCorp 2, Noah's very open when meeting people that, hey, I'm from the future. And technically, Time Traveler EarthCorp 2 works even better because this is Noah's actual past before it got changed.
Yeah.
So he knows exactly what each step is going to be, which fits in, obviously, with the title. But obviously, we were very aware, weren't we, when doing Cataclysm, it's like everything goes down to bare basics. And then we did all the planning and went, well, who's the time traveller?
Can it still be called Time Traveller?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It was like, there's no other title we could call it. And we were toying with ideas for so long that we ended up coming up with something which we kind of had already come up with very early on. It was part of the original Series 4 plan anyway. So we just added that in and were still able to call it that title. And then because just so it's also clear for everyone, each volume, because it is, even though it's a 4th series, and all the series have been 6 episodes so far, this is actually going to be a 12-episode series set over 3 volumes of 4 episodes. So Cataclysm 1 is volume 1 of series 4. It's the first 4 episodes. Then next year, you'll have the other 2 at some point.
Yeah.
But we're starting off now at the end of this year just to sort of close off that. And we didn't want to leave too large of a gap either. It didn't really make sense to do that because 2017 onwards now, if they kind of have to be released quite sooner. Because they're all so connected. Like Earth Corp 2 is actually our first volume, which is almost one whole story. Well, it is one whole story, but I mean, like,
it is, yeah.
When we had 2017 and 2016, they were all anthology based, but they all had one overarching story. Whereas this is the same cast, just like Earth Corp 2 was, and so is Cataclysm 1. Like, you've had all these characters who have had their own personal stories per volume. Like, you know, you've all been kind of looking into, like, looking out different windows at different lives, and now they're all meeting.
Yeah.
It's not like, because, like we were saying, you know, we'd have one episode about Elizabeth and Jesse and Andrew, then the next episode would be purely about Noah doing something. Whereas now they're all sharing the same space. They're all part of one big series. So that's been an interesting challenge.
Yeah, everything comes together, starting with Earth Corp 2, with a continuing story, and then Cataclysm is the same with a continuing story. It is continuous. There is some time jumps as well because we can't follow everything.
No, I mean,
the audios will be too long then.
Yeah, and then having looked at how obviously how the first lockdown was handled as well, we thought, well, episode 1 is set immediately after the event, so no one's done anything yet. Everyone's still panicking and scrambling, and then obviously things would start coming into place made by the government, and things like, for example, we were looking at the idea of would they have lockdowns, because this was only took an hour and then dissipated. It was still a viral contagion, so they don't know how it works. So would they ask for lockdowns and quarantining to test people and see if they've got any antibodies or just any of these spores in them and what they do? So we were discussing it. So that's why there were some time jumps, because you'd literally have episodes about a lockdown.
Yeah.
But it also helps create things as well. Like, you have characters who don't meet until 3 months after, or characters like, for example, Jason Newman. We don't see him until about an episode or 2 later, and for him it's been months since then, and he's not seen anybody else. So you get to see how he's changed. Whilst we follow the other characters meeting, you can't have everyone in the first episode, but it helps create that intrigue as to, okay, what?
Jason, at the end of Retribution, he saw his friend basically become so breathless that he died. And then it's left on him shouting out his friend's name, and then we literally just see the last piece of technology on the planet, the grid mainframe, die as well, and you're like, okay. And so Jason's in a very difficult mental place when we find him in Cataclysm.
I was gonna say a different place.
Different. Different is probably a better word. Yeah. I mean, Cataclysm is such a reset. Which, to be honest, we might as well reveal the first episode title for episode 1. Yeah. Which is Day Zero. It is literally a reset. So we called it Day Zero because the whole planet's been reset. Modern life wiped out. So Day zero.
There are obviously going to be people. There are obviously going to be people with their little paper calendars keeping track. But nonetheless, in terms of the rebuild, the world that existed before has just stopped.
Mm.
But obviously, we are working on. Naturally, people would try and rebuild. They're not going to be like, oh right, we've got all these burned out antennas. Let's just leave them as they are. It's like things do try and return to normality. Obviously, the losses that people have suffered remain. But in terms of obviously the power being switched off, that's going to be something that will be explored in Series 4 in general.
Yeah. Yeah, electricity is so important to modern day life, and for that to be wiped out proved a lot of challenges for writing as well. And also to sort of know what would people do? Which luckily this Sky One series called Cobra actually had a similar scenario to that. So it sort of inspired some of the writing in Cataclysm 2 of what happens when electricity is gone, just wiped out. What happens next? What does a government do? And all of that.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is that obviously we were looking into alternatives, like what would have survived, and what exactly did the EMP do? How powerful was it? If it was that powerful, what would it have done? Which is why, we have elements in 2017 where, John's character, Andrew, goes down and checks his laptop in his bag and finds it's gone as well, and goes, so it wasn't, it was a powerful one because it took out wireless devices.
Yeah.
Really giving the impact that it's not like, it's not like the laptop survived, but the plug socket doesn't. It's a case of all technology got burnt out. So then we were looking into specifics of what does that mean for the national grid and everything like that. We really wanted to try and have this as accurate as possible, didn't we?
Yeah.
We were talking about this for a very long time. Not even just the story of what the people are doing. It was just the logistics of what the world is.
Yeah. I mean, I generally think, we started story development probably early last year, but in terms of world building after Retribution, we started that way before because we needed to know by 2017 what was going to happen, what it affected.
Well, that's something funny as well, because we were exploring all the different things of, like for example, not just the fact that this series, it isn't like it's jumped from 2017 to the present day now. It's immediately after. So Cataclysm is actually still set in 2017.
Yeah.
So there's no, like, for example, you've got, how technology has improved. You've got your iPhone X's and your iPhone 11s and 8s and everything. I mean, I can't remember off by heart what sort of models were being used, but you haven't got your wide-angle lenses on your phones and everything like that. All those new things. It's only back a few years, but you find out how much has changed since, and you're like, wow. But also as well as that, I remember.
I don't even think the iPhone 10 was around then. I think it was the iPhone 7 at that point.
I thought it was the 6 or the 7. I think 6 is a bit too early. But
I think 10 came out in 2019 because it was the 10th anniversary iPhone.
Yeah.
The iPhone originally came out in 2019 or 2018. Oh dear, I should know this as an Apple guy. That's worrying.
but then we also looked into the political areas, because we still had a UK government, but then we were looking at the whole timeline of time travel and realising, I think there was one thing we realised, which was even though the whole Cataclysm happened in 2017, there actually still wouldn't have been very key things that happened in the years prior, like the whole, for example, I think we actually joked and said that Brexit wouldn't have happened. Because it was because in 2015, Thorncorp blew up Westminster.
Oh yeah.
So they wouldn't.
What was it, Uprising? Yeah, Uprising.
Yes, in Series 2, they actually blew up Westminster, so they wouldn't have been that to be concentrating on, because obviously that was being talked about between 2014 and 15, and that was being pushed for, and then it obviously came to a vote in 2016. But with Westminster being blown up, that wouldn't have necessarily been on the agenda and probably would have been pushed back, and then the rest of the show happened anyway. So it was like all those little things where you realise like the world is so different, and of course we also sometimes pay reference to a character called Jack. What was his name? John. I was about to say Jack Sparrow. No, John Sparrow.
John Sparrow.
Who was who was a prime minister in like the late, I think it was at the late 90s, early 2000s.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
And it meant that basically that's why Malton and other areas were kind of being more privatised by companies. That areas being privatised rather than being under control of one government. Because something had happened there, which of course I think Rachel Sparrow has appeared in 2015 as the Prime Minister before, and she will be appearing in Cataclysm.
Yeah.
Those sort of elements are still going to be explored. We're going to very big government territory. We get to see how they talk about things and deal with things, and we also have some familiar characters and faces that show up in those scenes as well. But ultimately, there's no real villain in Cataclysm 1.
It's very people based.
Like for the first episode is survival. It's trying to save people, or pay respects properly, and then all the rest of the episodes are people fighting amongst themselves to survive.
Yeah.
And it's just about trying to find order in the chaos. Cataclysm 1 is a nice sort of jumping on point, really. If obviously listening to Earth Corp 2 would very much help for your understanding for when that gets picked up. But the point being is that Cataclysm is a really nice jumping on point for, like, if you just think something bad happened and this is the fallout of it, there you go. And obviously there'll be some contexts that are missing there as well, but ultimately you can't just jump on board. And that's why we were thinking about making Volume 1 be very basic, because we've done something that's been so layered leading up to the Cataclysm. And now we can kind of just do it, like we were saying, like a very soft reset. The characters you know before, and then in a situation that's very basic, and then we build up from there.
Yeah. I mean, every single character has had their world turned upside down in some way in Cataclysm. And
exactly.
It has changed him in unique ways.
Yeah, precisely. And it's just a case of everyone has to kind of reinvent what they do. Like, we've got some characters in there who are hackers. They can't do that now.
Yeah, Andrew's had his entire world. It was turned upside down with that. But
he also gets no chance to explore being on the field, so to speak. All those things, which is great to see as well. It's good to have that sort of nice development on top of that as well. So, I forget the thing, if we carry on talking, we end up going to go into spoilers.
I know, it's the trouble, yeah.
We are dangerously on that line.
We're sort of hovering on this line at the moment. I mean, if we do talk further, it will, we probably will reveal something by accident.
But either way, the trailer is going to be out on the 30th of October, followed by the first episode on the 6th of November, and that continues weekly until the end of November, the last Saturday of November, which is the 27th this year. And that'll be seeing some familiar, because that's the thing, there are some characters who have not been seen properly since the visual series at all.
Yeah.
Like, I think I can say this. Basically, we've only ever had Harriet Jackson in one proper story, or one and a half stories. And that was in the very early episodes that was set in series 1 and 2. And now she's coming back for a full series now, and we've not seen her in audio form in nearly 2 years. And in visual form, nearly 5. So it's been a big gap. So like those are the things I'm looking forward to seeing, is like the proper crossover. I'm looking forward to other people hearing that too.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to end on?
The crossover of the two worlds, the visual world and the audio world, is going to be a big crossover in Cataclysm, and the finale of Volume 1 is something and sort of world changing as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay then. Well, thank you very much for your time, Dave.
That's alright. It's been a pleasure as usual.
No worries, and I'll pass it back to me and Dan in the future. So yeah, there's that segment with myself and Dave talking about the time travel continuation. It's been a very long time coming, hasn't it, Dan?
It has. You've been talking to me about this for years now. You came up to me, I think. We saw Endgame together because I know it was like after we saw Endgame in cinemas.
That's Avengers Endgame, isn't it?
Yeah, Avengers Endgame. And on the way back, I think we were discussing about Endgame because it was Endgame, but like you were talking to me about the continuation of time travel you wanted to do, and how you had these ideas, and what the ideas for my character was as well.
Yeah, and
I was very excited about it. So that was
April 2019.
That's over 3 years ago. You sort of started talking about ideas you had for the continuation,
and then just 2 months before the first lockdown, we took all the photos for the cover arts.
Yeah,
of you.
This is before the pandemic.
Yeah, I know, right? That was your birthday, I think it was. January 2020. I was done for your birthday, and we quickly took those photos because we were in Bournemouth at the time.
Yeah.
God, how time flies. And it's one of those things where you look at it, and this will put it into perspective for Dan. If there are people listening who don't watch my monthly vlog, then it won't feel that way. But I was talking about the time travel continuation when I was staying down in Berkshire to work on the Broadmoor Mental Hospital. And there's a bit of footage somewhere. I think I keep thinking that it must have been 2019, but yeah, I must have been planning it so far in advance. The thing is that I can't remember how far in advance it was planned, because I talk about it there, but it must have been like August or July 2018 where I talked about the plan, and then we started making it for May. But then why would it have been 2018? Because it didn't start coming out until 2020.
Yeah.
But I remember distinctly being in Berkshire in 2018 talking about it on my monthly vlog. I don't know why I would have spoken about it so far in advance, because I wasn't as far gone as I am now with making things in advance.
I think it's because I think I might be completely wrong. Maybe you had the idea, but as well that you want to patch things up, so you start doing build-up volumes up to it, and then it's
but what I mean is the build-up volumes didn't start until May 2020. So I was talking about it a year and a half in advance and didn't do anything.
I don't know. God knows what happens. I mean, like, you were also busy with Resurrection at the time.
Yeah, who knows what my brain thinks.
and also, you're working at Broadmoor.
Yeah, well, I should be clear. I didn't work as a staff member there. There's a new building that was built next door to the Victorian build, and you look it up online, you'll find it. But so yeah, it's been a very long time coming. Obviously, me and Dave covered most of the basis with the history of it and everything, about how we were going to make a fourth visual series, but it didn't happen because we realised that there's no way we can actually replicate properly like an empty planet. Yeah, exactly, the events. And obviously I think we talked about this because this was recorded a while ago now, but the way that the volume starts is very unfortunate because of what's happening now.
Yeah, because I think I remember as well, I helped because I had this app. This is back in 2019, which is dated so badly.
You had this because we were writing notes on this volume for at least a year, trying to set up what would actually happen in the world. And you had this virus app which you created you would create on the game something like, whether I can't remember if it was just a global catastrophe, and then you'd watch in real time as each government fell.
Yeah, and I got up to the point where half the human race had died, and I see what governments would have fallen first. Obviously, this is an app, but it gave a brief idea to me, like what would have happened.
Yeah,
and I sort of passed it on to you, sort of like as a case study of like what would the world potentially be like if half the human race died.
Yeah, and
a lot of governments fell.
Yeah, they did. A lot of them did fall. But yeah, so that was very helpful, and we were trying to discuss like how much was affected, because it wasn't just half the human race; it was also a massive worldwide EMP. Certainly very interesting to do, and I think because this isn't just a one-off volume; it's the fourth series.
Yeah,
but it's spread across 3 volumes, much like how Torchwood series 5 and 6 were from Big Finish. Just made sense for us to break it up rather than work it all in bulk, because the last time I did that was for Resurrection season 4, and you saw what I turned into.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
you had a burnout so bad.
Yeah, but speaking of like time travel having its continuation, shall we go over to the conversation I have with James Sutton about Torchwood Rebirth and that long history?
Oh, that history. Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely like to hear about that.
Hello. This is Jeremy Alexander of Torchwood. The year of this recording is 1981.
The fuck?
This program has been activated because Object 1 has been detected in use within the base.
Overton Audios presents...
You're Benton's grandson, right?
I have a name. It's Tommy. You?
You don't need it. Something's opening. Tommy, get out now. I'll sort this.
No chance.
The locket, it creates an energy, what we probably call bad luck. The file even mentions World War I.
What? As in it started it?
Fraser, would you kindly explain what's been going on here?
Our solutions to stopping the powers of Object 1 were not altogether clean.
Oh, I hope he doesn't say what he's about to.
Torchwood Rebirth Memorial, coming 22nd of October 2021 at 12 p.m. And hello everyone, I'm here with James Sutton. Hello James, how are you?
Hello Connor, I'm fine. Thank you for asking. All's well in my life. I mean, Russell T Davies back as the showrunner today.
Yeah,
so I'm buzzing.
Recording this segment, that was about 6 hours ago.
That was, and I'm still not fully recovered.
No,
so.
no. Which is it just is a very odd sense of nostalgia that's kicked in.
It has, especially considering what we're about to be talking about, of course, as well.
Oh yeah,
because obviously that's related.
The 15th anniversary of Torchwood.
Yes,
which is what this special celebrates.
Yes, I mean, I can't believe it's been 15 years since Torchwood came out. To be honest with you,
that's the thing. I remember watching it. I only remember really two or three times actually being sat in front of the TV, and that was the second ever episode. I remember that because my mum freaked out watching it. And if you remember what that episode was, the second episode of series 1.
I don't know.
I was 11. I was 11 at the time, and my mum was just like, "What?" It's a completely like different time and reaction to those sort of things.
I was younger. I think when that came out, I would have been 7, so I wasn't allowed to watch it. I remember sneakily watching series 2 of Torchwood, and I watched From Out of the Rain. That was the first one I saw.
Oh wow! Okay, so that's the one with Julian Bleacher.
And so, I immediately, I watched that one, and there's a bit in the episode where he goes up to like, there's a family sat in the car, and then they're going, they see something move, and they're like, oh, it's nothing, and then suddenly he turns
up in the
door.
window. Yeah,
that. As soon as I saw that, I went, yeah, the same for me, and I didn't watch it again until I was 14. So I was like, this is too scary for me. And then when I watched it at 14, I was like, I love this.
That episode's actually one of the tamest ones.
I know, right? When you actually think about it, like it is. I think it's just the sort of the clown sort of element, because I don't know.
Imagine if you'd started watching at Countryside.
Oh yeah, if I watched Countryside, I would never have watched it ever again. I think I would have just turned off and gone, you know what? Not for me. This is bad. There is one other scary one, like generally the one I think Adrift is unnerving. Like not like scary,
Yeah.
but I watch it.
I like the
that
fact
one's
that
the
there's
one that I
no
watch.
action sequences or anything like that. It's just a missing persons case, and then
And it's just
and it's so
people
solely
and-
focused on one person. Like you barely, isn't it? Like Yanto, I can't remember Owen in it at all. But
no, Gwen's in it, and
Jack's rarely in it. But Tosh, I
Jack's
think
only in it to do his.
Tosh
helps
scene.
a little bit. Tosh helps her get the missing people's cases and look at the rift stuff. I mean, we're just
Yanto drops something off on her desk as well, which
something.
But Owen,
something handy.
I think what's
Owen's
doing?
barely in it.
Then again, he is already dead by this point, so it's like he's probably just being dead somewhere.
He's just a mood, to be fair,
Yeah.
but it's sorry, it got dark. This is Torchwood, I suppose.
Yeah, but essentially, like I watched it when it first aired. Much to my mum would sit in and watch it with me because it was obviously for mature audiences, but because it was Doctor Who, and I was Doctor Who had only been back for a year, but I was so obsessed. She was like, okay, look, I know it's Doctor Who, but we'll sit in and watch it. And the first one was fine, some swearing and everything, but my young brain didn't quite clock on to the swearing. So
and the Weevil at the
that stuff, it didn't really bother me. And then when the sex gas thing started happening is when I was like, oh, what's this? Not like that, but like it's when I started realizing that I started going, okay, this doesn't seem like, I was like, this is I think that was the episode they sort of that episode kick-started puberty for me. Like, I was like, look, learning all these things at 11.
That was I mean, oh my god! Like, I mean, to be fair, like the first episode is just this is Torchwood. The second episode is them going, but it's edgy. They went. We're immediately going to have the.
Didn't they have episode 1 and 2 air together? Didn't they? They had them air at the same time.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, that would make sense.
I have in my mind. I have in my mind that it goes and it fades out and it goes. Everything changes now, and then it cuts to episode 2. I didn't watch it on transmissions, but that, if that makes sense, I would have done the same thing, because then it helps you get more into it. Well, yeah, because it was on BBC 3 and it was a Doctor Who spin-off, so I think they had it as an hour-and-a-half premiere.
Everything's coming back, actually. BBC 3's just announced it's getting its own channel again.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. When you would go over to go onto BBC 3, I don't know what was in its place. Just blank.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah,
I'm all of them are back. My childhood is alive again.
But then my next memory I have was on New Year's Day 2007, which was the series 1 finale, which was Gwen watching on the TV, Gwen crying over Reese.
Oh yeah,
and that's my only memory of that finale. Watching it, I've watched it. I've been watching it again recently because of what we're going to lead into talking about. But I've been watching like the whole of series 1 and 2, and then going into 3. But it's like I realized how much it really changed in comparison. Because when you're a kid watching it, you have your perspective on it as to this is what my life was like, and you can recognize Torchwood and Doctor Who eras as by where I was in my childhood. So when
that's exactly what I have. Like I moved house during series 3, and I remember like Evolution of the Daleks distinctly being in my old lounge. But then I remember watching the series finale in my new lounge, and there's just something about remembering moments in my life via that. Like that's the only way I can remember when I moved house, is because I remember watching one episode in one house and the other in the other house. And I just sit there going, that is my life with Doctor Who and Torchwood, is I remember where I was when it happened. And then from that point onwards, that's how I've sort of gauged my life.
But it's also a case of, with that, I remember like there was I don't know, with Doctor Who though as well. Like when I watched an episode from series 5, I'm like, oh yeah, I was 15 at that time, and at that point I was making these films. And now obviously then I look back on the series, like for example like series 10 or 11, and I'm like, wow, it was before I moved. And now series 12 will be, that's the first series I watched when I'd moved house. Like Doctor Who, each series it sums up a milestone, like some sort of milestone or event in my life, where I can go back to any series and remember the time around the like Skype call conversations about the Series 7 trailer, going, "Look at all those Daleks," and then like and then
I remember Skyped about like Series 8 and stuff. Sat there going, "Oh my god, look at this! What's this? What's going on here?" And I remember distinctly the Missy call when obviously we'd just been revealed that Missy was the Master. Everyone joining Skype immediately after the episode, going, "What?"
Well, yeah, I had a friend of mine texting me when that announcement happened, and he was saying, because of the hat, it has to be the Rani. And then we was like,
everyone thought it was the Rani.
And because of Missy and Mistress, everyone thought it was going to be Mistress Rani or something like that. And I thought, makes sense. And as soon as I said the Master, I just got in all caps, "What?"
They did record her saying the Rani as a sort of trick on the day. Yeah, on the day she said 2 lines, one where she says the Master and one where she says the Rani. And that was just in case anyone was zoomed in filming her to throw them off. But of course, we know that only certain people have the cojones to bring back the Rani, don't we? only people like you and Dan can successfully bring back such a wonderful villain from the 80s.
And I don't know where she is. I don't know what I assume it's a rights thing. I assume.
Yeah, no. So she's owned by like Pip and Jane Baker. I think the estate of Pip and Jane Baker own her, and so they haven't been able to get the rights for her. And I think since Kate O'Mara died, because I think she did a few big finishes, but I think since then they haven't wanted to do anything with her. Now, obviously, I think Pip and Jane Baker died.
They were able to do the Rani in some big finish monthly ranges, but it was a different Rani. And then I don't know. They haven't done any more since. You haven't done any more since.
No, but they did manage to get the rights to her to Eagle Moss recently to do a figurine of her. So perhaps there's hope. Russell did say actually that he would cast a certain actress as the Rani if he ever was in charge, kind of thing. And so my friend today, who's obsessed with the Rani, shared it and was like, "Well, come on, Russell, time to fulfill your promise. Come on,
Russell. We know why you're here.
You brought the macra back. I want to see the Rani." Well,
that's the thing. There's so many possibilities there. But anyway, back to Torchwood. 15 years.
Back to what we're here for.
15 years. So
15 years.
So this special episode is actually coming out on the day that episode 1.
The 22nd of October.
Yeah, it will be the 15-year date to exact. And what we're doing is it's as set out in the DW 2012 universe. There's an episode of Series 3 where the Brigadier signs a piece of paper to kickstart the Torchwood Rebirth program, because this is obviously, at that point, it's set in 2014. So this is 5 years after Children of Earth and the 456 encounter. So essentially, it's being set up under UNIT rather than through Her Majesty. It's going to be a special division of UNIT dealt by UNIT. But obviously, as we see things go along, they will not completely dependent on UNIT. They can function as their own, but ultimately they are supported as well. They're given a budget. They're
almost like a spin-off of UNIT, effectively.
Yes,
their own.
Although I don't like saying spin-off, because for me it's like, no, it is.
Yeah,
but like essentially, this episode is very much like the Torchwood doesn't exist yet. They stumble upon the memories and links, like, because a lot of people have been asking, because I don't know if you've seen, but I've also been releasing some other Torchwood audios this year.
I have seen. I haven't seen what they've been saying, but I've seen obviously your other Torchwood audios.
Yeah, that's part of something called the Knife Trilogy. This other character, Matt, his body clock is basically extremely slowed as a result. So he has to live through from 1914, where he arrives, to get back to his
because
wife.
I did listen to, it was The World at War, was it?
World at War,
yeah, I listened to that one. I need to listen to, it looks like there's one set in the 80s that I need to listen to
retrospective
still.
But then
that was it.
But then there's going to be the third and final one called Decades and Decades, which is out on Christmas Day. But obviously there have been questions, because this is coming out in October, if this is connected. It's only connected in one way, which is that you are in it, because you're in Decades and Decades.
I wasn't sure if I was allowed to say. I was sat there like,
I'm saying it, so I'm allowing it.
What is Decades and Decades? I don't know, but yes. So
yeah, because we actually did your bit in Decades and Decades first, before Rebirth even came about.
In fact, if we're allowed to say it, then obviously we were speaking because of decades and decades, and you thought it'd be fun to have me appear in the Torchwood sort of universe you were doing with Overton Audios, and then we got speaking about, well, what if we did a special for the 15th anniversary because it's coming out around the same time.
And there was also just the general discussion of, because Rebirth has had a troubled history.
Yes,
to put it nicely.
you could put it nicely. Yeah.
Yeah, there was just a discussion of, is this Rebirth or is this just a special? And then obviously due to what's happened with COVID, with how Rebirth was going to connect in with the main series that Luke makes, it didn't work anymore. And as a result, everything was getting halted and everything. So now, much to most people's confusion, it's but we'll explain it, but probably we'll ease into it a little bit.
Yeah, well, there's a bit of foreplay first before we get into all of that, you know.
The high concept continuity.
The high concept continuity. I mean, we've got to keep it simple because we don't want to spoil too much kind of stuff. But effectively, it's not that complicated, really.
No, I think it's only complicated because
it's not been explained.
To say it in a one-liner, it's you and Fraser and Tommy get split in two and are in two timelines concurrently, and that's the rebirth, what we're calling the Rebirth timeline, which is Torchwood Rebirth. And then there's the New Era, and obviously New Era is the title to reflect the fact that they've just been transported. So they still have the memory. They still have the memories of everything that happened prior to this timeline split. But the universe is different. The backstories are different. Like, I'm not saying it's going to be something simple where World War II didn't happen. Nothing like that. It's still very similar, relatable world.
To put it basically, it's literally Rebirth is set from the moment Torchwood was sort of like this was the earliest memory of Tommy and Fraser and so on, and that is set during Luke's sort of timeline of like when we first meet Torchwood and we're introduced to them, which has already happened in the series. So this isn't a spoiler. This has already happened in the past in Luke's series. Everyone's already seen this. And obviously they've met Tommy now in series 5. So it's sort of it's a prequel to that moment. And then New Era Rebirth was meant to run alongside series 5, but because of all the issues and stuff with filming and stuff, it's been too difficult to do that. So we decided that it would be easier if we then split them from each other, so they don't have to be linked, because it was getting a nightmare.
And with audio production being a bit simpler, we've been able to make this special. We made it very far in advance, but we've still been able to.
We did it earlier this year.
That's the thing. Yeah, we finished it early this year just because I think we were just eager to say we've made something. In a way, it's been a nice sort of sense of, and what's been lucky is because the first episode of DW 2012 Series 5 came out, which is now still getting a remaster, but it really helped in terms of writing writing the characters. Obviously, Tommy appears in Series 5, and that is obviously what I'd argue is that is him obviously presently, and we're going back to a time when he's joined Torchwood in those unit groups, when he wasn't a part of that yet, and we're going to see how he becomes the man he is there. But then also
we get to lead up to that.
Yeah, but then there is also for people who, I'll just say it here, people probably know about it already, but we'll say it here anyway. There is also another Rebirth audio that you made called Standstill.
Yes, there is Standstill.
It was made during the first lockdown, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we were sat there and we were thinking we want to make content. We'd seen that Dom and that lot, they'd be making their own little adventures, and we thought, wouldn't it be fun just to get together and do a Torchwood audio? And so we started to work on these little audios and stuff, and we just did that one where it's just Tommy and Fraser stuck in a traffic jam for a few, for like 8 minutes of just them talking and building up sort of character and showing that relationship that they have with each other, just to do something. It was, and that was the whole concept of Standstill, was the fact that, like lockdown, we were stuck somewhere and we were bored, and that we're just having a conversation, and that was kind of a mix on that, and then there was some sort of alien threat in the back of the
Was
car.
there ever a trailer made of that, or was it just released?
It was just released. We I think we just posted. We'll be posting something later on today, and then just 8 minutes of us rambling in a car.
Okay, well, if James will allow me, here's a little preview of that audio.
How far are we now?
2 minutes closer than the last time you asked.
On board.
Wow, you are so subtle with that. I'd never have guessed.
I still don't get why we had to drive all the way to bloody Cardiff for this meeting. Could we not have just Skyped the hub? Or Zoom? Ever heard of Zoom? That's new.
I don't think they've plugged in the Wi-Fi yet. And if you've forgotten, we also had to pick up our little friend.
Bloody octopus.
I think it's closer to a squid. 8 legs is an octopus. 10 is a squid, isn't it?
It's got 15 legs, mate.
Yeah, this is set sort of after How Time Flies, more kind of time, because we mentioned the Doctor and Meg in it.
So yeah, that was a nice little preview clip, whatever I chose. And
yeah, well, I don't know which bit you chose. It's probably one of the most worst bits of it, because whenever someone takes a picture of you and you go, okay.
You chose that one.
You chose that one. Interesting. It's like, you look great in that bit. Yeah, okay. And I look like, okay.
Hopefully,
it's
I just
audio. We can get away with anything.
Yeah, hopefully I just played it safe and took the first 30 seconds or so.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, it's all good. I really enjoyed that one. It felt, I don't know, I felt like we got a good balance of it. It felt like a natural conversation between two mates kind of thing. Like that was what I was happy about.
And that's what I was saying it was going to be a good lead in for how I've tried to write the characters here. But the problem is, of course, you're trying to write like I've heard obviously from I've seen Tommy and How Time Flies, and then I've listened to this audio, then I've watched the minisode that got made, and then I'm trying to write these characters at their meeting for the first time. And I don't think this is a bad thing. And I think like some people, when you say stuff like this, people will sometimes think, oh, was it not good? But what I found really good was when I wrote this script, when it came down to you and Ben recording, you both did a lot of ad-libbing, and I think that's actually quite good, because as a result, it wasn't, the lines weren't too different, but they were just said a little bit more.
You got them pretty good. I mean, the thing is with me and Ben, we just go, because it's good to always have a guide with me and Ben when we do stuff like that. But again, even with the standstill script, when I gave it to him, he went, I wouldn't say this, I'd say it like this. And I went, that's cool. Whatever can be made to sound more natural is great, because from that aspect, then you end up with a better kind of vibe to it, effectively.
The only thing that was really confusing was when you sent back a Word document of what was changed. And I was trying to edit it from 2 scripts. And going,
sorry.
Where did they stick from?
I tried to keep it simple, but every time I try to do something simple, it becomes like really complicated.
I'm like, what?
There's some bits that were just like I went, Fraser wouldn't say that, Tommy would say that, and then Fraser would be the other version round, effectively. There was I can't say what it is because it's a spoiler, effectively, so I won't say what it is, but there were some things like that where I went, no, Tommy would say that and Fraser would be the other one saying this line. So I was like, right, we swap, but then I had to tell you that we'd swapped, otherwise it would be really confusing for you later on. So I tried to write this document. I went, yeah, this will be easy, he'll understand all of this. And I was reading it back going, oh no, this is really confusing. I'm so sorry. Like I was saying to Ben, I'm going, okay, so we need to go over to this script now, and then we need to come back to my script, and we need to go over to this script, and we need to go back, because like we used like most of yours, and then there was just like one line occasionally that needed like a
it was always a case of like you would always write down where this had begun, like where the change had begun. It was just a case of me having to flip between both scripts before continuing with every line. Like, okay. But then
it was just to get a happy medium.
Yeah, because I mean, this is what I was leading into, which is, as a result, now that we're writing volume 1, I'm like, okay, so I've seen how the first script, it was like nothing. The story still happened the same, everything like that. But obviously, yourself and Ben have been planning this for much longer in terms of who the characters are. You know more about it, and I'm trying to sort of, even though like it's being done via the audios, I'm still trying to keep it true, because we are leading to pretty much the same point, which is obviously syncing with Series 5, and then eventually syncing in with what will become New Era. That, but also at the same time, you're trying to write earlier versions of them, and they may not have got those character traits yet. So you're like, okay, I've got to try.
You understood that really well. Like that was the thing. There was only literally, like I'd say, like 1 or 2 lines, kind of things that needed like any like occasionally it was just like we'd said something that I couldn't say, like the word. It was like Ben couldn't say the word. There was one time he was trying to say this word for ages, and I was going, just give up, Ben. Just say something else. You don't have to stick to the script so truly. And so, but no, you did really get a good grasp of the fact that these characters aren't meant to be carbon copies of what they are in the future, because it's 5 years away effectively. But they're also, we do have to understand. So it's good to have me and Ben knowing where we're going, because then we can kind of work back. And it was only these reasonings that I changed them at all, because otherwise I wouldn't have changed them, because I did like what you've done. But it was like points where I was like, if it gets to series 5, this will be weird that we said, because it's not a spoiler really. I mean, you've seen me, I'm in the trailer like 3 times effectively, that Fraser turns up at some point during during series 5, and so him and Tommy have to be at that point at some point. So we can't be too different from ourselves earlier on. But we have to be, clay to mold effectively until that point.
Yeah, and certainly the characters in terms of what it's. I mean, it's going to be essentially 5 years of like Torchwood. That's enough to change anyone. And that stuff we've been talking about too, because obviously the biggest difference for what I arguably for Fraser is that he's just a unit soldier. He's not Torchwood yet, so he's still very formal. He has got those little jokey elements, and Tommy's humor still very much stays as well. But at the same time, it's
almost like Tommy has to. Tommy later on is almost more formal in the sense of how so it's going to be interesting to see the development of these two characters from where we meet them here.
Which, of course, you and I are talking about very, very frequently about how this is going to work. Like that's why when we were making this audio, we started it so early, thinking we're going to have to do a lot of development. I then just wrote this script in a day, sent it to you, and then we weren't many changes. It was just like very small tweaks, and then obviously it was recording, and then that's when you really finalize it. Because I'm not the kind of script writer who's like, you must follow this. I'm like, as long as you say the line along those, as long as you say it along that sort of line, as long as you still get to the same point at the end of the scene, I'm fine.
Yeah. So the whole story was pretty much still that it all leads to the same conclusion, kind of thing. There was just it just was polishing it effectively what we were doing.
Yeah, but the problem is that you can't really do that if you're recording remotely, because yourself and Ben, you weren't recording remotely. You were on call or together, weren't you?
Yeah, we called up on the phone, because obviously this is lockdown, so you can't. So we just called up on the phone, and so we were both sat there with microphones in our rooms, just going, okay, so I'm going to say this line, and so I'd say the line, and then he'd read the other line back to me, so I could hear him in my ear. And so we were just trying to go along in order together, as best we could. But I was also trying to direct him. Almost, I was channeling like my inner Scott Hancock. I was just sat there, just going like, no, Ben, you need to give me more. Go, he's going to scream for me. He's just, like, that's great, but could you just try it a little bit? And he's because it was also like we did this at like 11 at night, so we were trying to. We were just like, there's bits where it's starting to go, oh my god, look, this is happening. Oh no! And so I'm just there like, everyone in my house is asleep currently, and I'm having to scream. And Ben's going, yeah, everyone else in my house is asleep as well. So there is one point in there where there is a scream from Ben where it's genuinely, I'm just there like, you can tell he's in his house and everyone's asleep. But it doesn't sound bad or anything, but it's just funny when you know the context behind some of the recordings.
But yeah, like
I feel like this needs to be after the special.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with the result either way of what we've had.
Well,
and obviously,
that's the main thing.
Obviously, we made Dan very kindly put together a nice sort of visual trailer of a sort of almost as if it were a title sequence of some sort.
That title sequence trailer thing was gorgeous. I loved it.
I thought it would be good to announce it prior to, because I usually, because I'm like overly making things, I typically release the cover art with a bit of the synopsis about a month to a month and a half in advance. And I thought, well, if we're doing something for the 15th anniversary, we should probably announce it a little bit earlier. So I know that we
more
kept
grand.
We kept going back and forth about, how are we going to announce this? How are we going to announce this? And obviously in the podcast, I'd mentioned about these 3 Torchwood dramas I was making for the Knife trilogy anyway, a couple of times. So I was like, okay, well, I don't really need to do so many formal announcements. But this was because of basically, Torchwood Rebirth has gone through so many different hands now that it was so up in the air as to what was what. Like it started off with Dan making it alongside Fractured Timeline, and then Fractured Timeline was just not getting made, and then as a result, he had to give up one. So he gave up Rebirth. Then it got in your hands, and then
I think there's been about 5 different versions of Rebirth whilst I was in charge of it. Effectively,
but
there was because.
No, but when it got to me eventually, because it was just it'd gone through so many people, they were like, "Let's just like it's it's just taking too long." And obviously with the delays and everything, it was getting up to a point of it. I mean, it was at a point of it's been 6 years, so it was a case of I didn't want to keep changing.
We announced it on the 10th. We announced it on the 10th anniversary, and we're here making a special on the 15th, and there's only been a mini-sode, an audio, and then a few cameos kind of thing. Yeah. So it's good that you've now got hold of it, and we're actually doing something with it. It's just been so hard because 3 years ago, we would have made a series before the pandemic. Before the pandemic happened, there was going to be a series alongside Series 5, and they were going to come out, and that was going to be it. We would have had it done in the bag. And then all of this happened, and now we're still, in this kind of throes of COVID, and we're like, what do we, can we do that? And so now it's just so much simpler that it's gone to audio. But the thing is, when I got handed Rebirth, it was when this is set. And so what we're doing now is almost like what I'd originally written in the first version of Rebirth.
Well, yeah, like
it's not the same. You're doing your own thing with it, but it feels like this is what would have happened if we'd done it back then. So it feels like we're making up for lost time.
Yeah, because because Dan's idea was to have it very different. Obviously, you weren't involved then, so his idea was to actually have it. I think it was. I don't want to say too much unless we actually decide to do it down the line. But basically, it was going to be set in Ireland. It was going to be like a rebirth in Ireland, and it was going to have the Brigadier's daughter in it, like as in the DW2012 Brigadiers. Not like it's obviously still Lethbridge Stewart, but it was going to be like Dale's Brigadier's character's daughter called Lauren. And then obviously with that there were some story plots made, but nothing obviously came of it because of time again. And then that's why when it came to me, I was just like, can we try and keep it as true to what the concept is meant to be? Because I don't have any ideas about how we can. How many more times can we try and reinvent Rebirth? I just want to try and say, because a lot at that point, Dan hadn't done a lot with it, and that's not his fault, obviously, but he hadn't done much with it. But you had been sharing actively a lot of the pre-production work. So for me, it's like, well, you've already established and characters, and even then, Tommy's in Series 5. So it's just like, at that point, it's already established. It might as well just sort of change like hands of production and still keep pushing on with the same story and try and keep it true, because it's already been established by Luke, by you, by just everyone that is Rebirth.
The thing is, there's only a few references to Dan's Rebirth. I think like maybe 2 at most from what's happening. And with the way things going, they're in danger of being remastered. So,
well, that's the thing, exactly. So there are times where I want to go down the line, if we push on and do however many we do, I want to sort of turn to Dan and say, is there anything from the original story that you maybe want to try and see appear, and we can maybe add it, so therefore everyone can say that they had something to do with it.
I would love to be able to get to a point that we've got Rebirth done by everyone that wanted to do Rebirth. Like, I'd love to
at least a version of their story told in some shape or form.
Yes, exactly. So we've got 5 years until Tommy canonically and Fraser turn up in Series 5, where they've just not been appearing in any episode. So what were they doing during that time?
Yeah, exactly.
So we can fill that with.
Yeah, obviously, I imagine there'll be some story elements that would lead to like, oh, we can't do that, because then we don't believe that character would then end up where he is now. So there are those things, but that's my main aim, is to have Rebirth be this project where it took a long time to get to stand, but ultimately it still achieves everything that anyone who was involved in the production wanted it to be. Even if it's not exactly the same. Obviously, 6 years have passed, nothing can be exactly how it was meant to be. But like, still, maybe
Yeah,
like
exactly.
even some of Dan's characters he had planned, maybe they can be introduced as team members, or just side characters who are who can still have a similar backstory, but just not be a team member. You know, those
Yeah, exactly. I always enjoy those things. It's almost like in Russell T Davies' series that he did, where like called Cucumber. He had a character from Queer as Folk turn up, and there's no direct link between those two besides that character, basically. And it was just a nice nod that they brought that in. Or like in actual Torchwood, where John Hart actually says in the bar, he says, "What's the team name then?" And he goes, "Excalibur?" No? And he's like, "Torchwood." And Excalibur was the name of Torchwood, the original show. That's what Russell was going to call Torchwood originally. And so it's a fun nod to something that didn't happen before, which is what I'd like if we include Dan's kind of stuff, because then it is a version of it that didn't actually come.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Something nice that, you know, it's these little in jokes that are for the people who were part of the behind the scenes that they can have. And that's what I really want to make, is Rebirth be something that, whilst it is fixed with a certain story, because it can't be everything, we have to try and make it good. You know, we can't just have everything going on at once. It wouldn't make sense.
But it's got to be focused.
It still sort of goes, you know, people who were there before, what were your ideas, and we can chat and talk about what it is now and see, okay, well, this character, we could always do this with it, and therefore they still have a part to play. And we're getting way too deep into Rebirth stuff now. I think we've gone very
deep, but
okay. Anyway, I think
it's all very exciting.
Probably end it here then. I think we've been talking for about 50 minutes.
Have we? Oh my god!
It's only 10:30.
I mean, oh my god! All the content that you've. I'm so sorry. The podcast that you're going to have a nightmare cutting this up, or is it just going to be?
Cool. Okay.
Wow. Nice to see you. Awkward silence or mouth organ? What are you after? The old Craig Ferguson deal. That's what's gone on here. But yeah, no, lovely chatting. Thanks for having me on, and I hope everyone enjoys the Rebirth special when it comes out next month. So,
indeed. Thank you all.
That was interesting chat, and now we're going to be reading the comments of Dimension of the Daleks. It got released from
the teaser.
Oh, the teaser for Dimension of the Daleks. Yeah, it's not. It's like everyone's like, "What? It's released?" But from the time of recording this came out just over a week ago, and it's already accumulated 26 comments, which is the most I've had in a year.
Wow!
People are excited. So Ryan Wade asked, I already replied to this, but I'll just want to say this podcast. He asked, this filmed in NI, which is Northern Ireland, and yes, it's filmed in Northern Ireland, but a lot of it has also been filmed in the Republic, so it's a broad Ireland production. This has become. And Mikey C. 32,001 says, this looks amazing with I think a star heart-eyed emoji. Thank you, Mikey C. Jamie Lawrence has said, brilliant trailer down, looks good. The CGI looks so professional, including the camera, etc.
Well,
Thank you, Jamie.
You had an upgrade, didn't you?
Oh yeah, we upgraded massively for the. I did a video that we've upgraded the camera to a Blackmagic, and we've also upgraded our computer, so the CGI is also taking a massive upgrade. We're able to do it all in 4K now. Thanks to you, Jamie. We've put a lot into it, so it's good to see you noticed it. Hey, Nonny Mouse. Looks really good. I'm keen to see it. I'm keen to get it out. It's been far too long since Fractured Time been on hiatus, so I'm very happy to get it out.
The next comment is from Jake Drake, and he says, "Yes, more Irish Doctor."
Yes.
Which of course is always lovely.
It has been, because before this, there hasn't been any Irish Doctor since towards the beginning of the year with Uncharted Pass coming out. So it's been.
But in terms of visually, it's been nearly 2 years.
God, yeah.
Then we've got another comment from Jonathan Joestar. He says, "I dig your redesign of the Daleks. I can't wait for this to come out."
Thank you very much.
Of course, it's a very, very nice design.
It is, yes.
And then we've got a comment from Hugo Allen Stevens.
Colonel Stevenson himself.
Colonel Stevenson himself. Not even time for a debrief of the events of the candidate with yours truly, the Colonel Doctor. basically saying that you did a ran off.
I leave the cravat one to deal with that.
Then we have, of course, Rye, the Ninth Doctor, who says, "I'm so hyped for this episode." A lot of people are.
So many people are hyped.
Then we have Fortuna Vega Studios, who make Torchwood 2000, saying, "This looks incredible. I can't wait." Thank you very much. I'm assuming that's going to be Callum and Ruben. So thank you very much.
Yeah, they've been very supportive on us and like the group. So thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate that. And I'll carry on. Ben's Productions. Awesome. Can't wait. Thank you. Brit Animations says, "I'm hyped, but so long a wait. I'm sorry, but I cannot stress enough how I would love to get this out this year, but it is just with more filming to do, plus all the visual effects. Because trust me, that this trailer does not even go into how extensive the VFX are going to be for this episode. This is only the tip of the iceberg you're seeing with this trailer." You know what I'm talking about, Connor. It would be impossible for me to get this out this year.
Sure.
You just don't sound as confident. Would you want to take over? Let's get it out this year.
I'm afraid I don't have any time.
Neither do I. Going Metal 799. So poggers. What poggers?
That's some internet speak, which I think is a positive thing.
I hope it is. I don't know what poggers is. I don't know.
I know it's a positive thing. I think it means it's so good or something like that.
Yeah.
Something that the young people know.
It's like, I think poggers and stuff like what boomers are. I don't know what is a boomer.
You don't know what a boomer is? A boomer
I feel
is someone,
so old.
Boomer is basically someone, I assume someone who's like older, like a middle-aged person, telling young people off, like, like for example, those old videos where people be skateboarding and they'd be like, "I'm confiscating this. This is a community. You must consider them." And then they just go, "Okay, boomer."
This podcast has turned into me trying to understand you. Thanks anyway. Rogue Film Productions. Hey mate. Just shouts, "Nice. Thank you." Doctor Who Adventures says, "Awesome trailer. It looks like an emotional thriller ride is on its way." Oh, it is. As Connor said before, he teared up a little bit from some of the previews.
And then we got one from MB and Homeland, are very good friends of ours. They said it looks incredible. I think generally it's all very positive.
It is, yeah. I'm very overwhelmed with a little bit of all this positivity.
Yeah, and then we have Imagine Productions, which is Ruben's YouTube channel, saying, "Your redesign of the Daleks is absolutely beautiful. I'm so excited to seeing this. I'm really looking forward to it." A lot of people, so the Dalek redesign's been taken really well as well.
Yeah, I would like to specify as well, like, I didn't do these. I found them online. I'm trying to source down the link for them because I just want to say, like, I found them years and years ago, this Dalek design, and I just knew it had to be on there. So I just wanted to just put a disclaimer. I didn't make it.
Okay, no worries. Then we have Louise Kane saying, "Wow, that looks incredible. I can't wait to see it next year, and great work."
Thanks, Louise.
Then we have Writer Studios saying, "Wow, this was great, but I hope season 2, episode 1 will come in 2022 next year. And I hope for the trailer of episode 1, season 2 will come soon, but this was great." But this is the trailer.
I think it means because there's the teaser trailer and then there's the trailer, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, no worries.
Because the trailer gives more from the episode, because this trailer, in my opinion, doesn't give out nearly enough as I want it to be.
No, and then BCR says, "Let's go. I can't wait."
Thank you. Film Storm Studios says, "Absolutely fantastic trailer, mate." Thank you, mate. KP Boy Productions. I think this series is amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. You're going places, guys. Thank you, mate. Thank you very much. And Snowflake the Husky. It says, yeah.
That's a positive thing, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
It could have said no.
Yeah, precisely. It could have been no, and we wouldn't. We'd be like, oh,
yeah. Woohoo! Sorry. This is from That's Spooky.
I was wondering what you were doing.
Yeah, and his
shouted woohoo.
And his comment is woohoo. I've been asking if there would be any more episodes for this Doctor, and I guess I guess I no longer have to wonder. Yes. And thank you. Yeah. Because we're currently in the midst of making series 2 of the series, and I'm just so glad. I'm so glad we're finally working on it.
Yeah, that's all the comments now, isn't it? We went through all 26.
All 26 of them, yeah.
Whew.
All 26 of them.
Wow. So, yeah, thank you, obviously, for the comments.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been very overwhelming.
I suppose it's also nice to know that the audience isn't lost either, because of such a long hiatus, which wasn't obviously your fault either. To know that there's, it's always good to know that they know it's not lost. It's people were patient, and that's good.
Yeah, which I'm thankful, because one of my worries was I dropped this trailer and it wouldn't get the views, it wouldn't get it wouldn't get the audience attention anymore, because it's been too long since the last episode. But by God, they proved me wrong, and I should not have had any doubt. So sorry for the doubt, and thank you all so much for your support and overwhelming positivity regarding this, because it's given smiles all around us, and just it makes us want to work hard to get this done.
So now that we've gone through the comments, shall we have a little listen to my conversation with Chelsea Lagan and Luke Lane on Crimson Hunter, followed by a surprise appearance of Aidan O'Connor himself to discuss some parts of the episode that we just read the comments for the trailer on.
Yep, and I'll be keeping a close eye, because if Aidan spoils anything, I'm coming for you.
Julia, look at me.
Why?
Because I want to look at you.
Okay. I was going to be with you forever.
I know.
And that's the way it's always been. The Doctor and Miss Breslin.
Yeah.
If this is the last thing I'm going to say to you, I want to make it count. I really wanted to. Doctor, I love you. I love you so much.
Overton Audios presents.
We got a report of the Crimson Hunter on one of our finest and most prized spaceports.
What happened?
Everything got leaked. You were MIA, assumed dead.
We genuinely thought Rex was dead.
You thought wrong, Breslin.
I really hope you brought us together for a reason, and not just these childish antics.
Who the hell are you people?
You are a clone of a universal businessman and also part-time sexual predator.
I don't want to hurt you. I've hurt too many. The EDS, shut it down. The universe deserves better.
You can still be the Crimson Hunter again. There's no doctor here to save you this time.
Then let's do it. Go in, blast a few heads, have a few cold ones, exchange looks of gratitude or some shit, I don't know, and roll credits. We're done.
The Crimson Hunter, Volume 2. Coming the 23rd of October 2021 by 2 p.m.
Do it, go on, do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. Today, we're going to be joined by Connor Chadwick and Chelsea Lagan. I'm your host, Sexy Boy Devlin 69.
Oh, hello, Devlin. How are you today? You.
I'm sorry. Oh god.
What would Devlin call his ASMR channel if he had one? Would it just be Sexy Boy ASMR?
Sexy Devlin ASMR. I don't know. I don't watch ASMR channels.
Yeah. Hello, everyone in the podcast.
Hello.
By the way,
Hiya.
just been chatting for this time. So
I'm waving. They can't see.
no. But yeah, so this segment we're talking about Crimson Hunter Volume 2, and it's extremely last minute. This organisation, which I apologise to both of you for that. It's just I've in total.
Chelsea, are you in the Crimson Hunter?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
Am I?
I didn't think so.
Oh,
I don't know.
no, I would have remembered.
Oh.
I must be like a wee side character. or something.
This is news to me. I thought it was just me.
Oh, of course you would think it.
Yeah, so Volume 2 is set between two episodes of Doctor Resurrection Season 2. That was the greatest party in the universe and the Doctor calls, which is when Julia's secret from the Doctor of being the Crimson Hunter is revealed, and she just dumps him.
Dun dun dun.
Or dumps her at a space station to sort everything out. She turns her back to go, let's sort this out, and there's Devlin stood right there. And yeah, and we find out, like, ever since the greatest party in the universe, where Rex have obviously survived, a ton of stuff has gone in those 5 years gap for her, where she's barely aged, and Devlin's like, what have you been doing? And that's just very formally said. In reality, it's a very different sort of conversation. But
it's also important to note that's when I transferred from my phone recording Devlin to my actual computer. So Devlin sounds a little different.
Well, that's the thing. There's actually the recording you sent me for episode 3. You'd forgotten to deepen the voice. So I did it. I just added it. I just it was just you going, hello, with the effect on it. And I was just like, oh.
I'll tell you why I did that. It's because whenever I have the pitch shift on and it's playing back through my headphones, there's a delay. So I'll be like, and and I'm like, oh, it can't work like that. So I just click it off, and before I send it out, I'll just turn it back on. But I guess I forgot to do that.
I put the
whoops.
I put the shift back onto something like -2 or something, and I was like, wow, that was it. Cool. And it just worked.
Yeah.
So if anyone
I didn't realize how easy it was. Yeah.
Well, no, I just did it on Audition, so I obviously go through and just quickly denoise and see if there's any like little background bits. And then I just sort of went, that's like Luke, but with the effect. It's just kind of funny.
Who is this imposter?
Because there's that funny thing about all these, well, I won't reveal too much, but there's this funny thing in the finale about the multiple security guards, and it's just you talking in your normal voice. And I'm like, this is a really when you do the lines for it, I'm like, this is odd. And then as soon as instantly you make it deep, it's fine.
Yeah. No, it's a really simple effect, really, that I didn't even know it was easy to replicate.
I mean, I just made it deep. That's all I did. You're the one who put the effect. It's not that. I just went, oh, he's just a bit.
I'm glad I don't have any effects to deal with. I'm just.
Yeah, you're lucky. You're lucky, Chelsea.
Just people like my voice, I guess. My voice is just amazing as it is. It's not. I sound like a man right now. I'm currently recovering from a cold, so my voice is a bit deeper than what it should be.
Oh.
Hi, Julia.
Hi.
So, because I've got this organised so last minute, how much do either one of you remember about Volume 2? Okay, good. Well, so
there's one thing I remember.
There's one thing I remember too.
Well,
is this about the? Is it the olives?
Yes, that's. Mm-hmm.
And we'll leave that there. It's something that has to be experienced.
Oh my god! That's so funny.
This volume is a bit more of a heist. It's less about you guys going through the desert and beating up some Sontarans and burning them. It's more about the company that you both worked for changed basically. In fact, the funny thing was, Volume 2's basically been planned for so long that I basically I nicknamed it. Oh, this is basically like Black Widow from the MCU, but with the Crimson Hunter and Devlin. And the movie hadn't come out yet, and now it's out, and I'm like, they're the same, almost. Because you've got.
I haven't seen Black Widow yet.
Well, enjoy Crimson Hunter Volume 2, and you'll need to see it no more. But basically,
all right then, sounds good.
Essentially, we've got Michael Cox playing the executive again, and he's mostly been voice acting in my stuff as the first Doctor. But it was very nice to have him play a character that he could, well, not be himself because he's acting, but not be replicating someone else's performance. And
he's not playing William Hartnell playing.
Yeah, exactly. But also, it was nice to hear. I think Volume 1 was. I think you both had perfect chemistry despite never meeting and still having not met. It was but I think that's very much replicated here. But there is a bit more of a darker tone to it because a lot of stuff has happened and Julia's just not been there for. It's like,
yeah.
I tried. It's sort of a bit like when you go back to your hometown and you're the only one who left, and everybody else stayed, and you realise that you go back to it and you're like, this isn't quite the same. Everyone's changed. This my favorite. I mean, obviously, I know it's not the same thing, but like my favorite shop has shut down. Like the little place I used to go and get sweets from after school is shut down. Or whatever. I probably made it sound really, really stupid there, but like. It's kind of like that, but for Julia, it's on like this is not just my street, it's the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, she just abandoned it all, bumped into the Doctor one day, and just went off traveling, and then has now got to face the consequences of hers as well as Devlin's actions, which, of course, end of Volume 1, you did the classic. Devlin did the classic test of kicking the body. Oh, it's dead. Great. And then we go from there.
Mm-hmm. Great job.
Yeah.
Great job.
Is there anything?
I'm trying to remember because aside from the Olive situation, which we won't say any more about, I'm trying to remember there was something else that happened where Devlin
and Marcus. Devlin and Marcus were trying to. Wasn't that about the cactus? Shove the cactus, which I ended up having.
Chelsea, do you know this line?
No.
Chelsea, do you know this line? Oh, I can't say it. I'll type it in the chat.
I'll type it in the chat.
All right.
Everybody's just gonna hear me giggle away.
Yeah. Alrighty, here we go.
The silence is deafening.
Yeah. For those who can't hear, he is typing.
I am typing. There you go.
Oh.
Yeah.
As
I do remember this, and I was just like, Connor, what the fuck were you thinking?
Yeah, but I didn't write.
He didn't write it.
I didn't write it.
He didn't write that.
For the record, for everyone listening, and maybe we'll reveal the line one day, you can blame Mr. Daniel J. Patton.
Oh my god, of course.
In his defense, he didn't write the line.
Well, you
improv the line.
What was the line? What was the line originally? Wasn't it like take the stick out of your arse or something?
Yeah.
And then which is not.
I just made it spicier.
Yeah. You took some liberty with the line.
I made it spicier. Yeah. I made it so much worse.
Yeah, in the recording, you were laughing for 5 minutes, and then I'm just sat here going, because you told me that you were going to do a special line, and then I'm like, oh, what is it? And then you said it, and I stupidly thought, oh, he's not going to say it yet. So I went and I just had like a drink, and then you just suddenly came out shouting it. I was like, oh my god. Oh,
I
my
aim to please.
And that
It's my goal. Yeah, we're gonna have to put like a disclaimer over these episodes and just be like, yeah, hey, put some headphones on.
We're gonna have to get Devlin going. Like, this is not kids. This isn't for you. Something like that.
That's what I
Hi
love
there.
about this series, though. That
I
it's
do
just
too,
like
actually.
different.
Yeah, it's like it's set within the Doctor Who stuff we make, but yet it's not bound by the target audience it usually is for.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
and arguably, I think that's what makes Julia and Devlin's relationship feel so real as well, is because it is just real talk. You know, it's not. Oh no, something's gone wrong. It's like how people would talk, and I think that really helps.
Yeah, but one thing that I really like that whenever I listen back to like the first volume is how, and like I think you've said this as well, Connor, like how Devlin and Julia sound like they were in the same room, like me and
it's
Luke.
like my favorite interaction is when Devlin jumps into the saloon saying, "I want all the finest ales," and then Chelsea is, "Julia, you just going, will you shut up?" But the thing is, it's so genuine, you know, like in the scene, it's like you're just interrupting, going, "Oh, I'm just dying of thirst here. You just stop screaming."
Yeah.
But like,
well done, Luke. Little pat.
Yeah.
Little pat.
Yeah.
And of course, I'll obviously mention this here as well. You've both been doing read-throughs together, haven't you, for other projects that you're leading? Just thought because we're both here, we're all here, we might as well.
Yes.
Yes.
It's funny because Chelsea and I haven't been on the same one, but we've definitely been involved in like the same production.
I've seen a photo of you both on the Zoom call together, and I'm like, what are you both doing? What's happened?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, was that the one with Simon Fisher Becker in it too?
I only saw.
I love
Chelsea
how everyone just went silent.
Well, I don't know. I only saw you both. I only saw the photo of you both, and like Chelsea's just looking quite shocked into the.
I think it was.
Yeah, that was for
Simon.
Venus,
Yeah,
Joe's
that was for
series.
Venus. The funny thing is, I haven't. Well, I don't know as far as now, but the character that I'm playing has not been introduced yet. So I was just there with my wee hot chocolate. I was just sitting there enjoying everybody, like just sitting there reading away, and I was like, oh my goodness.
I suppose it's a little bit like an audiobook when you're listening to it, because you've got someone reading the stage directions as well. So you're hearing the actors, but then you're also hearing narration. So I suppose it's a nice little thing to listen to.
It was so funny. That was such a funny read through, because everyone was like, even Joe, like Joe will, and there's an interview with her and Jack Reeves where she said this too. Everyone was so serious because Simon was there, and Matt Barrett, who plays Strax, we love Matt. He goes, "Hello, my name is Matt Barrett, and I played the potato one." And then Simon went next and goes, "Hello, my name is Simon Fisher Becker, and I played the blue potato one." And at that point, all seriousness was out the window.
Everybody just lost it.
Yeah, because there is that expectation with, like, when I've worked with Simon on Waterside, and he's actually recently recorded some lines for one of the Sherlock Holmes dramas I've done. Yeah, he's I think he's playing Mary Watson's father. Spoilers.
Very nice.
But then, you know, at first when I first started working with him, I was very, like, not uptight, but just, you know, reserved in the way that you speak. And then he'll crack a joke, and you'll be like, actually, yeah, he's human. But then also, you know, you do also meet people as well who will sometimes want complete professionalism as well. But like, you know, it's just nice that, you know, to break. It's nice to see that, you know, the ice was broken quite quickly. It wasn't too uptight. There was jokes able to be had as well.
That's what I love about like read-throughs and stuff like that. It's just like everybody can like be serious, but the one person that just has like a little bit too fun, and everybody just breaks down and just starts laughing.
Oh yeah. There was a lot of catching the case of the giggles, wasn't there, Chelsea?
Oh Jesus, Wi-Fi.
No, okay. I will say this. This is the one thing I will never forgive myself for, and Joe will back me up when I say this. I accidentally cut Simon off.
Ooh.
I had a different version of the script, because the original version we just had like copy paste Dorium lines.
Right, yeah.
But then we were like, we actually have Simon. Let's give him some new stuff to work with. So we wrote a new version. And I was looking at the older version, and Simon's getting ready to say his line. And I go, we cut to this, and everyone's like, Luke, you have the wrong script. I'm like, huh? Simon has a line. I was like,
It's just like internally screaming. It's just like,
yeah.
Well, I've seen things where like we were doing this. John and Harper's been doing a script which is based on like it's very Shakespearean kind of audio play. It's something that he's asked me to be in as well, and it's been kind of an interesting thing to do. But like we were recording it and doing a read through for that, and the script's like 100 pages, and you're like, wow, okay, great, let's read through this. And I'm not in it too much, but I thought it'd be interesting to be a part of something like that anyway, rather than just the usual sort of Doctor Who kind of audio dramas. It's more Shakespearean-esque in that.
Yeah.
Well, so I listened, and then we got to page 65, and then everyone was just kind of asking, what's going on here? And then because we're like, I swear we've seen this before. The script was actually 50 pages, and so I just copy and pasted the script twice accidentally. So we're we'd read the first 15 pages of it again, thinking because
no.
But then when you're sat there doing 50 pages, you kind of think, oh, it must just still continue, and there was no gaps. Like there wasn't a gap for like the title page or anything like that. It just started with the next scene, and then we're like, hang on,
oh my gosh,
we're like, hang on, hasn't that already been cleared up? And and we just were like, we spent like,
hang on a second.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like repetitive. I'm like, oh, isn't this the same thing? No, and I said it was. Nobody believed me until I went, well, go to page 2. Or no, go to page 16, sorry. And then and it'll be like, oh right. Oh. But yeah, like I think that's coming out soon as well, but I'm not sure when. I know John's editing it, but John's just constantly busy. I don't know what he's doing.
He's writing books, audios, other stuff. No, we love John.
And whilst you're here, Luke, we might as well just very quickly talk about Dimension of the Daleks from Fractured Timeline.
Oh yeah, I am in that thing. Yeah. That was no, I'm not gonna lie to you. That was such a quick process of Dan like, hey, sent me a picture of Dimension of the Daleks. You in? Yeah. And he's like, here's some lines. I'm like, okay, cool. And then like it was so like back to back to back, and I was like, whoa. So it wasn't even time for me to process like, whoa, I'm in all of this stuff now.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've my hat just banged the microphone. I finally made my Dalek debut in the DW 2012 universe. My life is complete. I can ascend.
Oh, good. Yeah. And I've tried to do this strategically because poor old Aidan, who plays Jordan Jones, has been in the waiting room for the past 10 minutes whilst I got through Crimson Hunter before we moved on to Dimension of the Daleks.
Doctor, where are we?
I have no idea.
State your identity.
Maggie?
Jordan?
Jordan, as in like your brother, Jordan?
Yeah, it's him.
Daleks have ruled over this dimension for the past 5 years. All of time and space.
Mike, what are you doing?
Ending this.
Capture human resistance in the name of the Dalek Empire.
You're thinking about leaving, aren't you?
So hello, Aidan. Sorry, I just didn't. I thought it'd be the best time to segue into it. So yeah, hello, Aidan.
Hey, Aidan.
Hello.
Hey.
So you're playing Jordan Jones in Dimension of the Daleks. We are like this is the podcast, by the way.
All right. Hi everyone. My name's Aidan. How are you?
They can't respond. The audience can't respond to you, Aidan. Well, in the comments, I suppose.
We'll find out. We'll find out in the comment section. But yeah, so how was filming for Dimension of the Daleks?
Well, without spoiling anything, it was one of the most amazing moments of my life. Like, it was Dan and Anya, like, who obviously played the Doctor and Maggie. They were fantastic. You know, filming with them was a fun and just enjoyable experience. And like we had so many funny moments on set. Just having a laugh. And like, even though I was only there for a short time, it was, we had fun. And I just, I get, it's just one of those moments that never leaves you, And I definitely think people are in for a good adventure,
Mm-hmm. What was the story I overheard about a door being kicked off its hinges?
Oh, I've heard about this story too.
Oh, this is news to me.
Yeah,
Well,
so
prepare yourself.
Oh, I'm ready.
So basically, oh Jesus, because so for those who this might not make sense to many people, but they might have seen on Dan's story that there was a door was kind of kicked in, and there's these two guys who come in and go, FBI, open up. So what happened was Dan had kind of told them to kind of, you're meant to come in and you're meant to kind of, it's like something's coming, it's coming to get us, and you got to come and be very kind of to the point, something's coming. And literally, like, we were doing test before, and one of them just decided to boot the door in, and they both just said, FBI, open up.
Yeah, because just
to give context to everyone, we're all wearing camo gear. We're all in full, like, a lot of us are in army gear. So if the police or guards, whatever, had shown up, it would have been game over.
Because from what Dan had told me, you were filming at an abandoned football stadium. So that's why the door was so easily kicked off the hinges as well. Because in the Instagram story, all I can see is the door coming to rest and then it kind of hanging on one screw.
Oh no!
Yeah. Like that place
no!
So in 2019 there was a flood there, and the place was just dilapidated. And I don't know how Dan found it, but he did, and we were filming there, and it just, I think all of the stuff was just so weak, so that when your man kicked it in, it was just, I'm honest, it was just there's the one.
It's probably all the rust and the waterlog, like the timber's waterlogged, and you've got the rust from the hinges. You kick it, it just fell apart.
Oh, he kicked it hard, like Jesus! Like all I just saw, like all I was there was just recording with my phone. It was just a loud bang and just two kids walking.
From what I was told, Anya and you have basically collapsed to the floor laughing or something like that.
Oh, that's one of many moments. Like I can actually tell you one moment where, like, without context, basically, there's a bit where Anya is meant to stop Dan. Like, she's meant to kind of just, pat his chest, to kind of
like hand on chest.
Yeah. And one of the, obviously some of Dan's friends were there, and one of them was kind of directing them a little bit and saying, look, you kind of gotta make sure you stop him. Like, you can't, like, it can't be just a soft stop. You gotta get it. And Anya, out of, like, deciding that, I'm gonna try and, see if something works, full on, boom, sit down straight into the chair. And all I see is him in full, like, the Irish doctor just collapse. I was just in that moment, like, if he only generate now, then it's game over.
What? So she winded him.
Oh, he was gone. Like, it was just full. Like, it was like a punch to the stomach.
Oh my god!
If you can imagine, you just see Dan just like full on, like he's on his knees and he's just trying to catch his breath. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, are you okay?
Oh my god! Poor Dan.
I'm so sorry. Abuse on set.
So we're just.
No, hang on. We need a repeat of that. We need a repeat. One more time.
So just for context, she just literally just went like this into his chest.
Like, just full on force onto my chest.
I'm so sorry.
I mean, if you didn't regenerate, then you would die.
Okay, I'll regenerate if that's what you want me to do. For God.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I don't know if that was recorded, but Jesus, if that's in the bloopers, I think people are gonna.
Oh my god. She just straight up falcon punch him. Oh my god.
It was like full on just boom.
I gotta say though, I love their sort of, well, I don't know if you call it clumsiness together or not, but just that sort of stuff like, all right, you've just got to put your hand on my chest. Like, you know, it's like it's like that sort of like
I don't know why, but for some reason the scene that's coming to my head is whenever like Doctor Strange or like the Ancient One will like press her hand on someone's chest and like the ghost version will just like fly out of their soul.
Well, that's probably what happened to Dan. Yeah, Dan's soul was starting to be extracted, so he had to hold it all in.
His soul just completely left his body, and he
Or
was just
Dan.
like, what happened to me?
Oh
Yeah,
no.
I know that we've made multiple jokes, Aiden, about because Dan would get that there were times where not everything would happen according to plan, as always happens, and then there's this Chelsea and Luke, how familiar are you with the daddy chill meme?
Daddy chill.
Yeah, there's like
This is news to me.
Basically, there's a clip of an older man who's come back to his house to find a house party going on, and in a
Should
bed.
I get it up and just press it up against the screen and be like,
Yeah, but like but
Right,
essentially he kept like he was like, no, you haven't got this house. This is my house, but there's some friends that won a bet. It's like, no, I own the house now, and he's like, get out of my house, get out of this house. And then someone just comes in. The guy comes in with the most feminine voice and goes, "Daddy, chill." And he's like, "What the hell?"
Oh no, I do know what you're talking about. Yes, no, I know this video.
And basically, without getting too into it, but basically, there was a time for a brief moment where Anya kept saying Dan's name as Daddy.
oh my god.
And as a result, it became a running joke.
Anya.
When Dan would get annoyed about the filming, we'd be like, "Daddy, chill."
Oh, he's gonna hurt me, but I'm gonna say that one day to him. Oh, he's never gonna know when.
He'll just know, and he literally, I can imagine him just coming back to the chat to me and Connor, and just be like, "What did you tell him?"
What did you do?
Yeah, well, I'm like, just have a listen to the podcast. I'm trying to find
that's funny.
There's this photo of Dan from behind the scenes, which I've got, which is when Aiden, you and Anya are having a laugh and chatting, and he's just stood there holding the script, staring at you both like we've got to film. And it's the greatest image. Here we go. This is it.
The meme potential. Is there just great meme potential?
Look at how annoying he is.
Guys, can we get back to
He's holding.
Actually, don't talk about that photo.
Yeah,
Who took that photo.
Yeah, he's like, oh, poor Daniel. He's just waiting. He's waiting for you both to stop joking. He's like, it's the middle of the night, and I'm tired. Please. Oh, poor Dan. Although I will say, from what I've seen of Dimension of the Daleks, it is really good. Like the new camera, the Black Magic Pocket camera.
Oh yeah,
amazing quality.
How would I describe it? It's a sexy camera. Oh my
Mhm.
god! Like you feel
amazing.
like Dan has this monitor on it that kind of pre-renders it a little bit, so you're going to see what things look like. And I'm like, holy crap! I'm in a film. Like I'm in.
It looks really cinematic.
Yeah.
Oh, like if he wants to put on a cinema screen, good. Honestly, like I said it to him, you have to get.
Oh well, yeah, it's in 4K anyway. It will fit on.
But, yeah.
But yeah, so I've seen a scene from it, and I had a little tear. I'm not going to say what scene it was, but I did have a little.
I
tear.
am aware of what happens.
I am not.
Is it that sort of
Oh,
scene
poor
that
Chelsea.
You went on, you pray that, and Dan was being evil about it.
Oh.
I'm gonna be honest. That scene, looking back at it, like I'm gonna be honest. Like I looked at it and I just thought, oh my god, like I don't know how the fans are going to feel when they see it. Like, after after season 1. Oh,
well, yeah, like that's the thing, is that it kind of works having that break now until the second season of Fractured Timeline, because not just because of the gap, but also I always felt like, no, not to toot my own horn here, as they say, but I always thought my script felt very finale-ish.
Oh, that's the candidate.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I blanked. I was like, which script, Connor? You've written so many. My God.
Well, the only visual one that people can reference. But yeah, like it sort of worked for the story because of you have series 1 with the dealing of the loss and then the acceptance of it, and now you have immediately on the opening of season 2, she's faced, like, having accepted what happened, she's now faced with an alternate version of yourself, which of course there were some people who got confused about that on the Discord. They thought they couldn't tell if you were just survived or not, but no, it's very clear that this is an alternate universe where you lived.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, it was kind of funny for the first few days when we were shooting. Everybody thought I was the last, like some people thought I was the last Doctor.
Yeah.
And I was like, no.
What was the maddest one that people theorized? Somebody, everyone thought you were a Time Lord. That's as much as I was aware of. But like, what was it? What was the maddest one? Someone wondered if you were the monk.
How the hell? The monk.
Yeah, but then
there's someone who's always like, "That's the monk."
Yeah, that's all. It's just. Oh, he could be playing a Time Lord. There's always one person or one or two people on the chat. Is always just sort of like, it could be a Time Lord.
Aiden is a pre-Hartnell Doctor.
I mean, in my own series, I am a doctor, so that's like, that's, I guess I am, but I'm not in this series anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there is a multiverse, and we have just established that it's in the multiverse.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I mean, I'm there, But it's kind of nice. I don't know what it is, but like going between those different scenes, like there's like reading that alternate version is just, it's so weird. Like, because I remember when Dan first sent me the script, I was in London, and he literally just sends me at like nearly 11 or 12 o'clock at night. I'm like, oh, this Dan, oh, the script, oh my God, and I'm just.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It took him so long to write it because he started writing it before the first lockdown, but then he took a break from it because he was getting writer's block. And with the first lockdown, we concentrated on the audios, and then they got done. Then they got done way too quickly because it's audio and everyone had time, so they got finished within a month. So we're like, "What now? What do we do now?" So then he started working on it, but then Dan had lots of issues with finding the right location, which is why they just drove around and found an abandoned place. They didn't have to. They were going to rent an area to actually film in, but because of like timings of people and everything like that, I think they just wanted the safer option. We'll choose this abandoned area, which we can go in and out whenever.
I'll be honest, the toughest challenge was just like me and Dan starting out days when I could come up. Like I remember texting him and being like, because Connie, you work in, you kind of work in construction. You could tell, like I literally had to talk. Like I was fearing talking to my boss about taking time off. So I was like, oh, can I take 2 days here to do something? And he was like, what are you doing? Nothing important.
So why do you need the days off then? It's important to me, not to you.
Might be filming some Doctor Who. You never know.
Oh, I mean, Luke, in Ireland, like they don't like down south. They have no clue. A lot of people don't have any clue or an iota what Doctor Who is. So,
oh wow,
oh gosh.
So and to be fair, it was. I gotta say, I'm happy. Like I made that journey up because, like, Cork to Derry, Jesus Christ.
Didn't it take like 8 hours?
Yeah, 8 hours up and back. So it was just like I went up in the car first, and then I went back on the bus. I got 2 buses back then.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I was just like
absolute commitment. Just commitment.
I was like, Dan needs me. I got to do this for him. I'm gonna do it.
See, if that isn't love, I don't know what is. Dan needs me.
Exactly.
I must do what I can for Daniel.
It's like the scene from the Five-ish Doctors. For the Dan. For the fans.
So, do we have any closing comments about Crimson Hunter Volume 2? Is there anything you guys want to wrap up with at all? Or are we not feeling it?
I can't wait for it. I'm really excited for this.
I am too. I really am.
Mm-hmm. It's just
okay, great.
I can't wait.
Well, good. Well, thank you.
Again, I'm just like, I watch Volume 1 and obviously Fractured Time, which and I'm thinking, yep, I want to hear Devlin's voice again.
Oh well, here we go. I got it right here.
Oh no.
Hi there.
Oh, why
So-
would you do this?
Bertha, why do you always complain?
Devlin, just no, just not today. Not today. Not today.
Do we need to sing the song?
You can
Do we
go.
need to sing the song.
No, you can go back to where you came from. I am not singing that song. That will never ever surface again. Never.
I'm so glad he put that in. I've
still
glad that was
I've
put
still
in
got
the
the audio file. I've still got the audio file. If you want to check it out.
I hate it.
Do you want to,
No,
I'll put up the thumbnail this time. Here we go. Here it is.
No.
I can just
Don't worry,
and sing along.
I can just imagine the Doctor just like listening to that and just being like, "No, I'm never doing that."
I am seething. I'm seething. No.
So here's a funny story about the song. Dan and I were talking one day, and we're like, Dan, here's what you need to do. You need to print that album cover you made, and just go to Luke's house and sneak it in the console room, and just leave it there, and see if he notices, and be like, what the fuck is this? See if he notices. See if the audience notices.
I mean, by then he probably has a CD, like a CD drive in the fucking console.
Imagine him finding it, then going, "There's a CD in here," then playing it and going, "What?" We're on
my
an intergalactic trip, and he's just like, "What is this? What is going on?"
I didn't even know it was going to be a thing. I just Luke sent it to me, and I was just like, I'll send one back for the crack, and then
Dan saved them. Dan saved them and made it auto-tuned them all.
It really wasn't even supposed to be anything. I was just goofing around. I sent it to Chelsea. Chelsea sent me one back. I'm like, Dan, look at this thing we made.
I hate it.
It was supposed to just be a joke.
I hate it. I cannot believe you done this to me.
Basically, Crimson Hunter Volume 2 will be coming out on the 23rd of October between 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. and Dimension of the Daleks will be in the new year at some point when Dan can get through the thousands of visual effects shots he has to do, which unfortunately, I don't know how much has he done. Probably the teaser is as much as he's been able to do. So yeah, thank you very much for listening and farewell everyone here.
Bye everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
So there was that section. That one was so last minute. Because we've just been running about so much. Originally you were supposed to be doing that. But then you've just had tons of. Well, I mean, you don't know where you're living next week.
Yeah, it's just so much happening this week. I made the arrangements with Chelsea, and I was trying to get Luke as well. And then more stuff happened, and that distracted me. And I have sent my apologies to them both. I won't say again. I'm so sorry to you all. I missed the mark. This
mate, it's fine. Mate, you're all good.
I know, but I want to own up to my mistakes here and to let you know I will do better next time. And I'm glad you all had a nice chat anyway. I'm glad to hear Luke and Chelsea together talking about this because they're a bit of a duo, those two, aren't they?
Oh yeah. And if anyone's interested, obviously you've already heard the segment anyway. If you're listening now, there's actually a little section on my monthly vlog where when we recorded the call. You get to see them both visually for a second whilst Devlin and Julia Breslin perform ASMR. Because obviously he's got his voice changer, so he changes it during the call. But we've got a few little visual segments there where myself and James Sutton are talking. But it's about stuff that didn't quite make it into the final cut of the podcast. So if you want to see that, that's on my monthly vlog on my Connor Chadwick YouTube channel. You just have to literally search up Connor Chadwick and monthly vlog and it'll come up. Probably. If not, probably on one of Dan's playlists as well somewhere.
Probably.
I don't really advertise my monthly vlog, do I?
Not really. You probably should.
No, this is just a very odd one. But yeah. So anyway, yeah, I've been doing a monthly vlog since the beginning of 2015. It's been going on for about now going on 6 to 7 years, monthly, religiously monthly. So
yes, not missed a month.
yeah, exactly. So there've been multiple times where I've tried to cancel it, but then I find myself getting bored and just filming part of the vlog again. So I don't know. I've got to think about whether or not I want to do it next year now. But I might just end up just pushing on and doing it anyway. Why do I do this? I've got so much to do. I've got so much to do. Why have I given myself a monthly podcast and a monthly vlog fixed, and then given myself all these other things to do? Why do I keep doing this?
May need to go see a counsellor about that one, sir.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you on that revelation. Thank you for listening to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you all very much.
I hope everyone has a nice month, and including obviously Dan. I hope you are able to move in by the time we're doing the podcast. You'll have moved in.
Hopefully, I'll have moved into my new digs by the time.
I will be very surprised if you haven't. I'm very annoyed.
Oh, that'll make 2 of us. I'll make 3 of us because Honey will be included in that situation.
Oh yeah, but from my perspective as a friend and knowing the industry, it's just not acceptable.
It is not, but hopefully, fingers crossed, things go well and we'll move in the next week or so.
Indeed, we can all hope. But anyway, thank you all for listening, and we'll speak to you next month. Farewell.
Farewell, all.